Mike works in public affairs, and he's a public affairs and communications consultant, and he's partner of the Apogee campaigns. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, Mike Chapman to start us off, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Well, a year ago, I predicted that the Republicans would do very well in the elections. And so on that, I give myself a pretty high mark. And I also predicted that not any fault of the Democrats, but that Republicans would be very aggressive in adoption of social media, whereas in the election prior to that, the whole story was Obama. Hillary Clinton and John McCain both missed, I think, completely the opportunity of using social media and the technologies and the trends. And that is no longer true. Our own Governor, Rick Perry, is one of the most active people on Twitter that I've seen across the country, and it's actually him doing the updates on @GovernorPerry. And while Bill White's people had a much more aggressive Facebook campaign, and who can say what the exact correlation is to the outcome? Rick Perry did okay in the election, as we all know. So from a predictive standpoint, I think I saw that trend coming. I also talked about much heavier use by everybody of paid social media, and going into the next cycle, I'm going to make the same prediction that there will be extreme high rates of adoption by all politicians, unless you're one of the really old school guys who are still doing fax machines out of your office in Congress, and there are some of those. They're in their 70s, 80s, and they're going to get reelected for as long as they can wheel themselves to the Capitol building. So they're going to not be your heaviest adopters, but anybody just getting in or looking to extend to the next level, they're going to throw as much money as they can muster at it, and some are going to do a really great job of that, and some are going to do a very poor job. I threw up some of the presidential contenders that we can expect in the next go-round. In spite of the events in Tucson and this being a very quiet week for Sarah Palin, I predict she will be once again very active on Twitter and Facebook in the very near future. She seems to be, for her audience, almost the perfect adopter. She does these OMG type updates that they're hers. They couldn't be a staff person unless they're brilliant, because it does read like Sarah Palin talks. And I'm going to go to the top on the side over here. You notice that as I looked everywhere, Huckabee must get it because he's got Chuck Norris in the title of his YouTube video, which, as we all know in here, Chuck Norris has kind of got his own life online. And the kids love Chuck Norris. You know, it's just one of those things. Love to make fun of him, love to love him, whatever it is. Another guy, Governor Christie out of New Jersey, look him up on YouTube. He gets up and he's a very boisterous, loud kind of a candidate, and he has hit thousands of hits, like 70,000 per video of him just getting up and reaming some media guy there in New Jersey, and he's very good on YouTube. So it's an example of somebody using what works for them. Here in Texas, as you know, Bill White did very well on Facebook and had a lot of thumbs ups, and Governor Perry did very well on Twitter. And what we're seeing is that people, as we've predicted around these meetings for years, are congregating in the areas that work best for them. An area that a lot of you might not have followed that I followed was the speaker's race here in Texas. Huge amount of activity on social media, and what I was seeing is tweets that didn't represent the necessarily what was going on in the real world. If you were looking just at the Twitter count, Ken Paxton, who was running an insurgency campaign against Joe Strauss, would appear to be much stronger than he ended up being yesterday. So what I'm getting at with that is clever campaigners, political types, are going to use paid staff shock to create non-authentic campaigns on social media channels to try to create the appearance of being bigger than they really are. And I guess it will be up to the wisdom of the crowds if they choose to participate to call them on. The way these things get, though, it's rough and tumble in the political blogosphere, Twitter sphere, and a lot of people would just rather stay away from that, which works to the benefit of the consultants, who, because a little, tax code verbiage 527s, if you followed this, the Supreme Court opened up last year. They've made it possible for corporations to spend as though they were individuals. And you can do an independent expenditure, which is protected under the First Amendment, free speech, and there's no limit as a corporation. And you saw a lot of that taking place last year with Karl Rove and Ed Gillespie organizing Crossroads America. You're going to see a response from the Democratic side, and they're going to be organizing like crazy this year. And the bottom line is there's going to be millions spent even this year getting ready for the primaries and that sort of thing. If you're a gunslinger and you know how to buy ads on social media, this is going to be a great cycle. Get in there, you can work. And as a result of that gunslinger mentality, which will extend from the top levels all the way down, I mean, the big money that's organizing around these 527s, whether it's labor on the left or corporations on the right and in between, they're going to be looking everywhere across the country to influence. And the response from politicians always is, okay, now it's time to write some laws and regulate this. And that's going to extend back to all of us. So this sort of open, everything goes on the internet thing is going to begin to be looked at by politicians at all levels. And why is that? Because that's how they exert their influence. And if the Supreme Court says you can spend all you want, and then the consultants decide, okay, we've saturated traditional media, now we got to go saturate the internet, we all get caught up in that. So my prediction over the next year is you're going to start seeing, and the Tucson thing is actually going to play into it. You're going to start seeing calls for hearings and regulations, and let's find out who these people are putting this stuff up on the internet and make sure it's playing into our overall safety. Whereas that's been kind of looked at before, but more from a pedophilia thing. Now it's going to be looked at from a, are we inciting people who are not mentally stable to do things they shouldn't do because we don't even know who's putting this stuff up on the internet. And with that, I will hand to the next person.